The skies are clear, the tornado watch is past, and all is well in the big city. The Mets get set for the final week of the season as the sun sets on 2010. At Citi Field in New York, the New York Mets play the Milwaukee Brewers. Mets baseball on SNY is presented by Delta. Tonight's game is presented in HD by IOTV. Get your HD free with IOTV. And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. Gary Cohen, Ron Darling, Keith Hernandez with you tonight as the Mets open a 4-game series against the Milwaukee Brewers after a rainout last night. Doubleheader tomorrow. You know, we've talked a lot about the future over the last few weeks, and when we talk about the future of Met outfielders, one guy we rarely talk about is Nick Evans. He's kind of been shuffled to the side, but now getting a chance to play late in the season, all of a sudden Nick is starting to put himself back in the picture.
Well, when Nick got called up, he struggled in the beginning and was striking out a lot, but he's getting more at-bats now, hitting over 400 in his last 12 games, although most of them are pinch hits. He's been doing a fine job. 3 hits in that finale in Philadelphia. He drove in 2 runs. Remember, his debut in the big leagues in Denver, he had a big 3-hit ball game. So a team that's looking maybe to make a change, bring up some young guys. Nick Evans with that big day in Philadelphia, 3 for 5 with a 2 ribeye steaks. He's getting the start in left field tonight, hitting second.
And he'll hit 6 tonight because Angel Pagan is away from the team because his daughter is going to undergo some surgery tomorrow morning. So we wish nothing but the best to the Pagan family. Meanwhile, Mike Pelfrey takes them out for the Mets, trying for number 16 on the season.
Well, Pelfrey's been outstanding. He's turned it around his last 3 starts. He's 2-0 with a 2.11 ERA. And even more importantly, this season, he's found great solace like the Mets here at Citi Field with his 10 home wins. And he's going up against a veteran, Randy Wolf. The left-hander has done a nice job turning around his season. He was struggling earlier in the season, but now really good against the Mets his entire career. In his last 11 starts, he's 6-0 against the Mets.
Wolf will be trying tonight to become the first starter ever to beat the Mets for 5 different teams. It's the Mets and the Brewers opening the series at Citi Field. All the action coming your way tonight on SNY. By Geico. By AT NYN, rethink possible. By Frostbrew at Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. by Delta, keep climbing. By Rums of Puerto Rico, the rum capital of the world. And by Lexus. Live out your Mets fantasy. Suit up with Mets legends and take to the field at the Mets Fantasy Camp this January in Port St. Lucie. Get to the phone at 718-565-4376 or visit Mets.com/fantasycamp today. Here's your Suzuki around the majors. Carlos Zambrano has been brilliant coming down the stretch, 7-0 in his last 10 starts as the Cubs shut out the Brewers 1-0 and knocks the Padres, out of the wild card lead in the National League. Roy Halladay won his 21st game. Phillies win their 4th straight National League East title. Halladay now 21-10, throwing a 2-hitter in the clincher against Washington. And the Braves take the wild card lead by beating the Marlins and Omar Infante's RBI single in the bottom of the 11th inning. Ricky Weeks and the Brewers getting set to face the Mets tonight. First of 4 at Citi Field. First pitch coming right up. Second will bat third, and Joe Inglet will take bronze spot in left field. The Brewers, second in the National League in home runs, 4th in runs scored, nonetheless 9 games under 500 because their pitching has struggled for most of the year. However, tonight's pitcher for the Brewers, Randy Wolf, is off to a nice beginning to his September.
Well, Mike Pelfrey's got a couple of goals that he'd like to set. 15 wins is a career high. I'd love to get to 16 or 17. Has a chance to have 2 more starts. Get over that 200 inning mark would be a great thing for Mike. 2-0 in his last 3 starts with a 2.11 ERA, and he has 10 home wins this year.
We'll take a look at the New York Metropolitan defense. See, Tolley, that's outstanding. He's pretty improved in that area and defensively altogether. Feliciano, of course, in right field for Pagan. Beltran, Evans. Evans, we talked about him at the top. Reyes, Tejada up the middle. Davis right on the corners. And Mr. Tolley behind the plate. There's Willie.
Willow.
Willie Randolph, the bench coach for the Milwaukee Brewers under Ken Maka, who's in his second year as the Brewers skipper. And Willie held quite a long conference with the New York Riders yesterday after the game was postponed, talking about how he'd like to get back into the managing end of things.
I don't think it'll be a long time before he's at the number one person at the helm again.
Well, certainly there are going to be a lot of managerial openings in the offseason. And undoubtedly, Willie will be a candidate for many of those jobs. Ricky Weeks will lead things off. Weeks hitting at .270, 28 home runs out of the leadoff spot, and 82 driven in. And Pelfrey's first pitch of the night is a strike. Weeks has scored 108 runs. That's third in the National League. So that'll tell you that the leadoff man has done his job this year for the Brewers.
But he has the most runs, the most home runs, the most RBIs from the leadoff position. He's been hit by a pitch 23 times to help that on-base percentage.
Joe Inglet, late addition to the lineup, waiting on deck.
This team always reminds me of the ground ball to short routine for Mr. Reyes. Here, I'm not trying to horn in on your play-by-play.
That's okay. I think you're doing a terrific job. Just keep it going.
This Milwaukee team over the years has always reminded me of an old 70s, 80s American League team. Lots of hitting, lots of power, not much defense, and striking out a lot, and not a lot of speed. It's just playing for the 3-run home run, and I just never liked their style of baseball. And their pitching is certainly their problem this year. You can look at all the numbers, but sometimes the numbers can lie.
And there's been plenty of talk about that guy, Prince Fielder, who is not going to be a free agent at the end of this year, but will be after the 2011 season as Joe Inglet takes a strike. And whether Fielder might be trade bait this winter to try and bring back some pitching for Milwaukee.
Would you take a chance on him? That extra poundage?
Other than free agents, guys, there are not a lot of pitchers out there to trade for, because the guys you want to trade for, their teams need them more than the Brewers need them.
After all, who has a surplus of pitching? Inglet, who's spent most of his time this year pinch hitting, 67 pinch hit at bats, 20 pinch hits. That's a terrific pinch hitting mark, but has started very few games. Corey Hart on deck.
A little tough to break into that outfield, isn't it? For the Brewers?
As things have turned out this year. And remember, when the season began, Corey Hart was in the doghouse, but got off to a tremendous start this year, so much so that they gave him a 3-year contract extension.
Well, the Mets really got him right and on his way in that series in Milwaukee.
He was being booed when the Mets first arrived in Milwaukee in late May. Inglet rolls one out to Tejada, and Pelfrey has 2 ground ball outs to start the night. Randy Wolf getting ready for his starting assignment tonight. Good second half of the season for Wolf after a difficult first half. So here is Corey Hart, who has parlayed that jump start he got against the Mets into a terrific season. 30 home runs, a career high, 96 runs batted in, 7th in the league in slugging percentage. He's got an 11-game hitting streak going right now. And Pelfrey misses high for ball 1. Hart hit 3 home runs and drove in 8 in the Brewers' series victory against the Mets in late May at Miller Park. Hart only had 3 hits in that series. They all counted.
Well, Corey, what a thrill. All-star game this year. It's going to be a second team player, but started in right field for Jason Hayward.
2-1 for Pelfrey, and he throws a fastball by him 2-2.
Boy, if Pelf could bottle his body language and what he does on the mound the last 2 starts and then that great run in the beginning, just a totally different pitcher from the guy who struggled.
And he strikes out Corey Hart to finish off an effective first inning. 2 ground balls and a strikeout for Pelfrey. The Mets come to bat against Wolf. No score. Feliciano gets the start with the absence of Angel Pagan. As we mentioned earlier, Angel is away from the team. His daughter is going to be undergoing surgery tomorrow morning. And so he is preparing for that as Jose Reyes leads off against Randy Wolf and takes inside for ball one.
18 games over 500 in his career with 114 wins. This is his 308th game start in his last 11 starts versus the Mets. He is 6-0 with a 3.11 ERA.
He has not lost to the Mets since 2006. A few teams ago for Randy Wolf.
31 career starts against the Mets and 12-5. Ouch.
We mentioned in the opening that he has a chance tonight to beat the Mets for a 5th different team. Only one other pitcher has done that, but that was as a relief pitcher. Ron Valone beat the Mets for 5 different teams. So Wolf would be the only starter to do that. He's beat the Mets as a Philly, a Dodger, a Padre, and an Astro.
He didn't throw very well his start in Milwaukee. Remember, he and catcher Lucroy were having difficulty getting on the same game plan, but he's thrown his fastball more, and that's led to his turnaround.
Reyes drives it deep down the left field line, right toward the pole. It's a foul ball. Reyes barely missing his 12th home run of the year.
Well, it looked like a pinball machine there, didn't it? Or a ricochet rabbit.
Tilt. Reyes has 2 home runs in his career against Wolf. And he walks him. So Wolf, who walked 5 in 5 innings against the Mets the first time he faced them, walks the leadoff batter tonight.
And the Coors Light Brewer defense. And you see the late scratch out there in left field, Mr. Inglett. And pretty impressive. Both fielders not. That's deceptive. That's one thing my father always told me. Never worry about errors, because the guys that make the most errors are the guys with the better range, because they have more chances to get to balls. And I'm not disparaging Prince Fielder, but obviously he's very limited in his lateral movement.
So Reyes is aboard, 30 steals this year. And Jesus Feliciano runs his hand up the bat handle and takes high. You noticed in the defense that George Gutierrez is starting for the Brewers. Ronnie was talking about the troubles Wolf had with Lucroy the last time we saw them. Well, Gutierrez has become Wolf's personal catcher. A rare at bat for Feliciano against a lefty. He's had only 7 of them this year.
Well, the thing that limits some of the running is Wolf does have a good move to first base, quick to home. But Gutierrez this year has only thrown out 4 out of 42.
Wolf on the mound. Opposing base stealers have been successful 10 out of 12. Carlos Beltran coming off a terrific series in Philadelphia, waiting on deck.
Boy, he is barely stepping over to first base. Randy Wolf, he's got that move where he looks at the runner, looks at the plate, and back with that throw to first base, but not stepping over there. Maybe you get the call, though, when you're a veteran like Randy.
Well, except that the first base umpire tonight is Bob Davidson, and nobody calls more balks than Bob.
Balk and Bob.
But Randy Wolf's brother is Jim Wolf, who's part of the Brethren of Umpires. Maybe he gets a break. I'm just saying.
I would hate to hear that. 3-0 to Feliciano, and that's a strike. Tim Cheetah, the home plate umpire, 3-1. Rick Peterson, first-year pitching coach with the Brewers. It's been a very rough year for the Brewers pitching staff. They're 3rd from the bottom in National League ERA. However, they've had a much better September. In fact, the Brewers starters in September have an earned run average of 2.59. Best they've been all year.
As usual, Rick has a tip on a snowstorm. Oh. He's always buttoned up, isn't he? Whatever the weather.
Reyes not running, or running belatedly, and now trying to get back to first base, and does. I'm not sure what that was. Reyes did not run initially, and then as Feliciano struck out, he took off and then retreated.
Well, he's running 3 and, well, nice play, bad throw.
I think what happened to Reyes, he's got such a late start. He knew he wasn't going to make it. He was able to eye Feliciano swinging through the ball and was going to try to get caught in a rundown. The bad throw allowed him to get back to first.
Yeah, he was dead to rights. If it comes up cleanly with that ball, Escobar.
So now Beltran with 1 out and 1 on. Carlos coming off the big day Sunday in Philadelphia, in which he hit home runs from each side of the plate and drove in 3.
Average on the climb, 257 now on the year.
Over the last 17 games, Carlos is hitting 364. He's hit 7 home runs now, 4 of them as a right-hand batter. But what's been impressive lately is that he's begun getting some better swings in terms of driving the ball from the left side, which had been the big concern over the first 2 months after he came back. Wolf's been behind every hitter so far. 2-2 to Carlos. Some good numbers for Beltran against Wolf as well. Randy Wolf, now 34 years old. Grew up in Southern California. David Wright with a lead pipe on deck.
It's a good pitch to run on. You can guess breaking ball from Wolf to Beltran.
Quick home and he fouls it back.
Good cut by Carlos there.
Remember how Rick Peterson used to always teach the Mets relievers, especially that quick pitch to home? Well, it looked like he's worked on that with Randy Wolf also.
Wolf has got that slow hook. Haven't seen it yet, but there it is, and he misses badly with it. 3-2. Always talk about that first curveball, right?
It's hard. You want to throw the perfect one, and very rarely do you snap one off on that first time. This one not close from Wolf.
3-2 counts to each of the first 3 batters for Wolf. Again, Reyes doesn't run, and Beltran strikes out. So Wolf with back-to-back strikeouts of Feliciano and Beltran for the first 2 outs.
He goes up the ladder on Carlos out of the strike zone.
I think it's surprising that a half run on Feliciano up and no try to run there with Beltran.
So 2 out. That's left to David Wright. David, #1 in the National League hitting against left-hand pitching, batting .353 against lefties. And Wolf moves back 1-0. David trying to get to 100 RBIs for the 5th time in his career. 7 games to go, including tonight. He needs 4 RBIs to get there. Late on that fastball, and it's 1-1.
Wow, that's tardy.
Need to get a hall pass.
He just
Nice little half slider cutter there from Wolf inside to David.
Now the 1-2. And he checks the swing on the high fastball. 2-2. With Ike Davis hoping for a turn on deck.
When you have a former manager on your staff, you can allow him to give the signs to try to quell the running game.
I thought that was a shampoo quell.
That's Prell. He's just giving the catcher, Kataris, the signs to have Wolf throw over, slide step, things like that that'll try to keep Reyes close to the bag.
So far, so good. Reyes has not attempted to steal during this at bat. Two-two, and David hits one in the air to center field. Lorenzo Cain with a lot of room out there, and rookie backpedaling and puts it away. A leadoff walk, no score. the Brewers continues tomorrow afternoon with a single admission doubleheader beginning at 4:10 p.m. Tickets start at $15. Get your seats direct from the Mets at Mets.com. Prince Fielder leads off in the second inning against Mike Pelfrey. Fielder having a very odd year. 32 home runs. Reaching 30 homers again. But look at only 80 runs batted in despite a .403 on base percentage.
What does that tell you?
It tells you he's walked a lot.
It tells you he hasn't hit in the clutch very often either.
Well, he leads the league in walks. He's walked 106 times.
But you do have to say he's walked a lot. He's not going out of the strike zone like some hitters do to try to drive in runs. And Casey McGee has had a great year.
Now, part of what Keith says is also accurate. He's hitting .229 with runners in scoring position and .188 with 2 out and runners in scoring position.
So
he's been had the opportunity to be a 100 RBI guy, hasn't cashed in.
End of the shift, and Tejada from the outfield grass throws it out one away.
Three ground balls for Mike now, and you see Tejada out there in short right field, positioned perfectly.
So Fielder retired, and now Casey McGee in his second big league season, 1 RBI away from 100. 10th in the league in base hits, tied for 8th in RBIs. So he's had himself a fine year. This is a guy who was never regarded as a big-time prospect, really an afterthought.
Yeah, McGahee last year 16 home runs and 66 RBIs, so he's really added on to his career highs.
And they say he's become a somewhat better third baseman. He was something of a challenge last year defensively. So this is a Milwaukee team with a lot of talent position player-wise.
lots of hitting, not enough pitching.
Lorenzo Cain, rookie center fielder, on deck. And he takes strike 2-2. And Maka in his second year as the Brewers manager, and much like Jerry Manuel, there's much speculation about his job.
521 wins, 444 losses for Ken. Most of that with the Oakland Ball Club. Those are his numbers in Milwaukee.
Another chance for Tejada. And he throws out McGee, 2 away. Here's your AT&T trivia question. The Mets used 6 different starting first basemen on opening day in their first 6 years. How many of them can you name?
Wow, that's a tough one.
It's a very tough one.
Very good. Wow. Early trivia.
Early in the game and about the early years of the Mets. Here's Lorenzo Cain. Cain came up in early August when Carlos Gomez, the former Met, suffered a concussion, and Cain has taken over the center field job. Gomez has played very little since coming back. 24-year-old, making his 31st start for the Brewers. And he bounces one. So Pelfrey keeping that ball on the ground. 6 up and 6 down with 5 ground ball outs for Pelfrey to start the night. Mets come to bat in the bottom of the second with no score. It's off the home second inning. Ike riding a 6-game hitting streak, 11 for 23 over that span. Part of a big month of September for Davis. It'll be Ike, then Nick Evans, and Josh Thole for the Mets in the bottom of the second. Randy Wolf walked the leadoff hitter in the first inning, but Reyes never got past first base. And the curveball misses to Davis, 2-1. Another curveball, this one for a strike.
Really slows down that motion when he throws that curveball to the lefty.
I remember when Wolf first came up with that slow curveball when he was with the Phillies. Before that, it was a pitch he simply didn't throw. And it really was responsible for making him a long-term successful proposition as a starting pitcher in the majors.
He would get a lot of strikeouts with a curveball, but also with that high fastball.
Davis pops one up, and McGee retreats into foul ground, one away.
There's Howie and his lovely wife Roseanne, there on the right of your picture. Howie is the bartender at Paradise Grill in Sag Harbor. One of the great guys. What a sports fanatic he is. Huge Met fan.
Does he have a specialty?
His specialty is the gift of gab. He is a great bartender.
Nick Evans takes a strike.
Howie's a big surfer. That's why he's got these so bronzed. Oh, yeah. He's surfed since he was a kid, he said. I'm going to tell you how old he is. We're old buddies.
He's got that Laird Hamilton thing going.
There he is. He loves baseball.
You know what you just did for his business?
It's not his business. But
yeah, but tip jar will be brimming.
He's the best.
Not everyone now has a personal pour.
Hey, everybody knows Howie at Sag Harbor.
Hey, it's not every bartender that can get front row seats.
There you go.
It's a sad day. He has Tuesdays and Wednesdays off, and it's a sad day at Sag Harbor.
Just have to pick your spots. 1-2 to Nick Evans, and the curveball hit out to right field. And Corey Hart patrols, 2 out. Here's Josh Thole with 2 out and nobody on. A rare start for Josh against a left-hander. Just 4 for 23 against left-handed pitching this year. But now with the final week of the season and games that will not have an impact on the pennant race, Jerry Manuel wanted to see what Thole can do against the left-hand pitcher. And he hits one off the pitcher's foot and gets a bad bounce right to Weeks. The ball was headed up the middle. Instead, it turns into a 1-4-3 putout with the kick saved by Wolf. After 2, no score.
They look like Met fans.
I thought maybe he tended bars somewhere else.
Well, I don't want everybody to think that I'm lush and I hang out at bars.
What?
I do have dinner. I watch football games with Howie. When I'm off and you guys are doing the games,
So
I go and watch the Met game at the bar with Howie.
So you watched the Jets game the other night there. Or maybe not.
What did I do?
I think you were in a different bar.
No.
We were on our way back.
No, actually, I watched Monday Night Football. I watched the game last night with Howie, first half. Then I had to go home and get my rest, prepare for the game.
Do you think the Packers should have let the Bears score?
I don't know. I was happy with the turnout.
Okay. Alcides Escobar leads off for the Brewers in the third. And it's taken low, 1-2. Escobar has really been struggling lately, the 21-year-old from Venezuela. 0 for his last 16, 3 for his last 40, so they've shut him down the last few days to try and work on his swing.
I think he's one of those young guys that's suffering from the long season, playing a demanding position. You know, he is penciled in to be a big, huge star, and I think he's going to be. He has all the tools to be a great player, but just, probably up here before his time.
And he pops one up in foul ground. Tolle coming back. And has just enough room in the on-deck circle. One away. Visit the official online shop of the Mets at Mets.com. Browse the largest online selection of authentic team gear, including official caps, t-shirts, jerseys, collectibles, and more. Get your team gear straight from the source. Shop the Mets.com shop. George Gutierrez, the catcher. Brewers got him on waivers from the Red Sox last winter, getting just 203 with 9 home runs.
Torres spent some time with Boston catching the Wakefield knuckleball.
Randy Wolf, one of the best hitting pitchers in the game, waiting on deck. And Pelfrey misses inside with the fastball.
I mean, Hart was unbelievable in that series, Milwaukee, but George had an amazing series also. Played some first base.
Pelfrey throwing a lot of fastballs first time through the batting order. Love to see that with Mike.
Which would always be the case. With that good sinking action on that fastball, can get a lot of ground balls like he has tonight.
Pitched a wonderful game his last time out in Florida. 7 innings, allowed just 1 earned run and 5 hits, but wound up with a no decision in that game. His first crack at his 16th win.
Well, his last 3 starts, he hasn't gone less than 7 innings, haven't given up more than 2 runs.
Now the 3-2 to Gutierrez, and he walked him. And the Brewers have their first base runner of the night. And Pelfrey looked like he might have taken a bad step.
Yeah, I think he slipped on the mound on that pitch. Trying to come inside with that fastball, pushes off. And it turned on that ankle, that left ankle.
There are his numbers from his last start. A no decision against Florida. So now Randy Wolf, who has 18 hits this year. Only one pitcher in the majors has more, and that's Dan Herron. But Wolf will be asked to bunt, and he takes it high. This is one of those situations I don't understand. You've got a pitcher who can really swing the bat, and there's already 1 out.
And also, where are you going? Let him swing the bat. You know he's going to get a fastball down the middle here. This would be a great time to let him swing.
He's got 5 career home runs. Can't get the bunt very far away, but Tolle decides against the play at second. Settles for the 2-4 sacrifice, moving Gutierrez to second.
Well, nicely done by Josh here. You got a pitcher up bunting. Get the ball quickly. Okay, now he could have got him. I like the fact that he's aggressive. He decides not to and resets.
I wonder if he was a little startled by the bat thrown by Wolf started to get in the way of he and his footwork as he went after that baseball.
So now Ricky Weeks, who grounded to short to lead off the game. Weeks has driven in 82 runs this year, substantially batting leadoff. It's a lot of RBIs. Was it Darren Erstad, right? Had 100 RBIs out of the leadoff spot one year.
Only person to ever do that. Out of the leadoff spot.
I mean, that's obviously in the American League. It's almost impossible to do that in the National League with the pitcher hitting ahead of you. Runner at second for the first time, and Pelfrey and Tolley having trouble getting together.
You know what they've stopped in Weeks, if you can remember when he first came up, he was a mini clone of Gary Sheffield and used to really rivet that bat back and forth, and he still does, but to a very lesser degree. Sheffield light.
And not the over the head bat waggle like Gary had. It's been a process for Weeks. I mean, he was a spectacular college player, Golden Spikes Award winner, and it's taken him a few years to reach his potential offensively, but it appears that he's now there. And misses 3-1.
That's a good pitch by Pelf. Called the ball. I think one of the things that helped Ricky Weeks is that he's been able to work every single day with one of the great pros of all time, Willie Randolph. Maybe a little late run inside him, Keith.
That actually sunk. Something we haven't seen from Mike. That's a pretty good pitch. Pretty good eye to take that pitch.
Not an easy pitch to hit. And Weeks draws a walk, second walk of the inning for Pelfrey. And so 2 men on. And Joe England will be coming up. Darren Erstad had his 100 RBI season in 2000. He scored 121 runs that year for the Angels. Now that's a good year for a leadoff hitter. So here's England getting the start in place of Ryan Braun, who was a late scratch because of an upset stomach. And that's a shame because Braun has been scorching hot the second half of the year and always an exciting player to watch. England fouls it back, 0-1. Braun was very outspoken this past week about the possibility that Fielder might be traded, saying there's no way that I would have accomplished what I had Fielder not been there behind me in the lineup. That's Randy Neiman, who's filling in for Dan Warthen tonight. Dan is away from the ball club. His brother passed away, so our condolences to the Warthen family. He's home in Jacksonville, Florida. England lines one over Tejada, base hit. Contreras around third, heading home. Here comes Feliciano's throw on the fly to Tolley, and he's out at the plate. Beautiful throw by Jesus Feliciano to gun down Contreras and end the inning. And Tolley with the tag keeps the game scoreless. Integrated medical professionals. Kevin?
That's right, Gary. You know, September is Prostate Cancer Awareness Month. I mean, and think about it, too. The Mets and Major League Baseball, one of their initiatives is to get out there prostate awareness. You know, on Father's Day, they always do a big awareness campaign. All the players wear the blue wristbands. And so September, Prostate Cancer Awareness Month. And Dr. Kapoor is with us now. And, you know, you do a lot of things, of course, to bring out the awareness with free screenings at your office. But what are some of the symptoms that people look for, Doctor? I mean, when you talk about symptoms of this, what kind of things should people be alarmed by?
Well, Kevin, I'm glad you asked, because really the most common symptom of prostate cancer is no symptoms at all. And since prostate cancer is almost always curable if it's caught early, and since there are no symptoms, the best way to catch it early is to take the effort and go get screened.
So regardless, you have to get screened. I mean, at what age should you start getting screened?
Well, it's a good, again, that's also a good question. If you have a family history, or if you're African American, you should start at age 40, and for everybody else, for sure, by age 50.
You're trying to raise money as Ruben Tejada pokes one into the outfield, started off for the Mets with a base hit. As we talk to Dr. Kapoor here, and you know, one of the things you're doing to help raise money for this process is the Greater Prostate Cancer Challenge that's going to be on Long Island on Sunday, November 14th. Tell everybody what some of the things are about this race and that can help benefit this cause.
Right. The Integrated Medical Foundation, which is the premier nonprofit organization promoting prostate cancer research in the New York metro area, has teamed with Zero, which is a national organization for the prevention of prostate cancer. They're sponsoring the Great Prostate Cancer Challenge. It's a fun 5K run walk, and not only is it raising money for a great cause, everybody who comes out will have the opportunity to get their prostate checked for free.
That's even more incentive. Dr. Kapoor, thanks for the info and the time, okay?
Kevin, thank you so much for having me.
All right, guys. Mike Pelfrey up. Let's go back to you.
All right, thanks, Kevin. Thanks, Dr. Kapoor.
Kevin's always so wonderful in those interviews, you know. It's just prepped and he's ready to go.
Well prepared, asks all the pertinent questions, gets it done in a very timely and professional way.
Well, he's a professional.
Pelfrey pops up the bunt, and Fielder with a diving grab for the out. Wow, showing off the footwork there. Fielder coming a long way.
Nice hustle by Prince. Like a belly flop there in the pool.
The earth moved.
That is a nice play. That is nice hustle. Nice to see this late in the season.
Well, Fielder's a guy who plays every day. Recently had a stretch of 327 consecutive games broken. There's Reyes, who walked his first time up. So Tejada remains at first with one out. Reyes watches the curveball in the dirt. Ball one.
Hey, let me ask you a question. What year about did they start taking the ball that hit the dirt out of play? I mean, because they always talk about the little things that'll get the game to move a little quicker. The calling of strikes by the umpire, getting out to your position, whatever. That would be something that would get the game moving along.
Well, when you retired, what, 95?
Yes.
Were they doing it then?
No, of course not. I was a forkball master. I was trying to get that ball in the dirt.
So I think it was probably when the hitters started complaining every time it hit the dirt, right?
Yeah.
That it needed to be taken out of play. And finally
Bill Robinson was that way, remember?
Yeah.
Bill Robinson used to always say, check the ball.
Bill Robinson always, it was the first time he ever said that to me in my whole career. And I was, you know, I came over, it was late, and Bill said, always have the ball get scuffed in the dirt. I never thought of it.
Certainly a dirty ball's harder to see, right?
When it gets scuffed, too. Giving a pitcher a free pass.
But the problem is not a lot of pitchers, especially this generation, absolutely not, wouldn't know how to use the scuff.
Well, now they don't have any because they take every ball out of play.
They get a clean ball every play.
Well, I mean, it always used to be that when I started watching baseball, that if the pitcher asked for a new ball, he got it automatically. Back to Wolf. Has to hurry to get two with Reyes running, and Escobar turns it over for the 1-6-3. That'll do it for the Mets in the bottom of the third. 3 in the books at Citi Field, no score. Pelfrey's allowed just one hit. That was Joe Inglett's single that could have scored a run in the third, but for the fine throw by Jesus Feliciano, gunning down Gutierrez at the plate. Now Corey Hart leads off the fourth. Hart struck out his first time up.
Well, he struck out his first time up, but the next pitch before that was a high fastball, and it's set up to slider. Throws it in the same spot, takes that left turn. So you think that's a bad swing on that slider. How did he look so bad? The reason was Mike made him so obvious and aware of that high fastball that he couldn't catch up with. He started it a little early, and the pitch fooled him.
And there you go with a high target there to lead him off. So that must be, he's a chaser. I mean that chasing high fastballs.
And again, Tolley up to catch that pitch. 1-2. Fielder and McGee to follow, with the Brewers sending up the heart of their batting order here in the fourth. 1-2. And that misses low and in. 2-2 to Hart.
Now see that pitch there, 0-2. I mean the pitch before. When Mike's 0-2, I'd rather him pop that right-hander inside, then go back out.
I agree.
Tejada moves back on it. And Hart retired one away. 4 straight innings now. Pelfrey's retired the leadoff hitter. And Prince Fielder comes up. Fielder grounded to second his first time.
Well, the thing about Fielder is you have to make him aware in. If you get him getting off the plate, then you go back outside with a little slider. Now, he left that up, and if he had not set up inside, that ball would have been covered. But because he got Prince off the plate, he gets away with a mistake.
Fielder hits one out to center field, and Beltran with room. 2 out. So as a hitter, Keith, if you're Prince Fielder and Pelfrey has come up and in the previous pitch, how does that affect you on the next pitch?
Well, if you've got a fireballer out there, that will get your attention. It's a mind game, Gary, and hitters think just as positively at the plate as pitchers think positively on the mound. They're pitching with a purpose, with a positive frame of mind. Okay, I'm going to push this guy off the plate, and I may double up, and then I'm going to set up the outside corner. And the hitter's going to say, okay, I got Bruss back, and he's going to have the same approach. He has an attack mode of an offense against the pitcher. When a pitcher gets you worried inside, you're finished as a hitter. You're absolutely done. He can have you the rest of the day, and that's what you try to prevent mentally. And all good hitters and most hitters will still attack. Will not be affected that much. I mean, you get set up once in a while. It happens. I talk about it all the time. Taking a called third strike on the outside corner, and that's the one, the fastball. And, I got set up. It happens when you get up 700 plate appearances in the course of a season. They're going to get you. The good hitters, it doesn't happen that often. So it's two very, very forceful men out there. They wouldn't be in the big leagues if they weren't alpha. Okay. So it's a battle of wills, and sometimes a pitcher makes a good pitch and gets you out, and you can go back to the dugout and say, "It's a heck of a pitch." Or sometimes you hit that pitch, and the pitcher scratches his head and says, "God, I had him set up for that."
Yeah, but that pitch that Pelfrey got Fielder out on by itself was not a great pitch.
I thought he had a pretty good cut at it. It broke down late enough to get under his bat. Even though it was up, it had a late tight breakdown, and Fielder's got a lot of holes. He's not, a Tony Gwynn. He's a power hitter. So he's got a lot of holes in his swing. But those are all the little things.
3-2 to Casey McGee. And he lifts one out to right. Long run over for Feliciano. And slide. Can't make the play, but a great effort by Jesus, who thought he might have had it. But couldn't find that pearl. Stuck in the glove.
What a nice effort late in the season. Look at that left foot jamming into the padding there. Really could have hurt his knee, but did not. Nice effort by Jesus. The other thing that Mike could think about later in the at-bat, he's got ducks on the pond against Prince. He set him up, fastball in, then went slider away. Fastball in, fastball in. That's going to fool Prince next time he comes up. He's not going to expect 2 balls inside.
That's what makes this game great, by the way.
Just one of them.
One of them, yes. You know, and speaking to that, setting up pitches too, Gary, whenever you hear today, oh, we want to change the eye level of a hitter, you throw him upstairs, that to me is baloney. You want to go up and in, fine. You're not going to do anything different in your stride and your attack on the next pitch. The pitcher throws one up. I had a good eye, though, so there's ball 4. The difference is you're a good hitter. We're not talking. Sometimes you can do that with.
I'm locked in the strike zone,
yeah.
And if they come upstairs, you know, I didn't chase bad pitches upstairs very much. So to me, when they went upstairs, Garrett, they're doing me a favor. I got a ball. You know, sometimes it put me ahead 2-0. And thank you very much. I will come to me now, please. Here I am.
30 walks now for Pelfrey. Here's Lorenzo Cain with 2 out and a man on.
You always wonder why you have to do all your training and working out to get your body so it can withstand this kind of.
And it's padded, thank goodness. Now Wrigley Field, that's concrete to the brick. A lot of guys can get hurt.
Still with your leg extended like that.
Yep.
That could have been something very bad. But he walks away without a scratch.
Out to left center field off the bat of Cain. Beltran back in the gap, can't get to it. On his way to third is McGee. He's being waved home. And Reyes will hang on to it. It's a run-scoring double for Lorenzo Cain. And the Brewers have broken the ice. It's 1-0 Milwaukee. So Cain, who hit his first big league home run over the weekend, has his 8th double and his 8th RBI.
Well, McGee cannot run, doesn't run very well here. This ball has a lot of hang time. He got a bad jump off the bat, too. There's 2 outs. Now here we are the last week of the season. Big carom. Watch this. That's a terrible jump there. He lost around 2 seconds. And look at that. He's chug, 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 chug. Might have had a play if they had thrown home.
The lunge in the good. Escobar takes low and away, 1-0.
So the 2-out walk to McGee hurts Pelfrey.
And the Brewers have the game's first run. Escobar fouled out to the catcher his first time, 0 for his last 17. And Reyes moves in to grab it. And guns down his opposite number to end the inning. But the Brewers break on top. Lorenzo Cain with the 2-out RBI double. 1-0 Milwaukee. Jesus Feliciano leads off the bottom of the fourth. Feliciano struck out his first time up. Randy Wolf now armed with a 1-0 lead. It'll be Feliciano, then Beltran and Wright for the Mets in the bottom of the fourth. Meanwhile, back in the pennant race, the Atlanta Braves now lead the wild card race in the National League by a half game over the Padres. They're playing at home tonight against Florida. The Marlins have a 1-0 lead in the fourth. A couple of notes on that game. One, looks like Martin Prado, the fine third baseman for the Braves, is going to miss the rest of the season after hurting his hip coming out of the batter's box last night. So that's a huge blow for the Braves. The other is that Bobby Cox has opted to pitch Tim Hudson tonight on 3 days rest and pitch Derek Lowe tomorrow night on 3 days rest.
You know, that's a gamble with your veteran pitchers trying to get them at the end of the season to be able to come up with a fine start.
And that brings up the days of the 64 Phils when Gene Mauch went to the 3-day rotation, 3-man rotation.
Feliciano down looking for the first out, and Beltran coming up. Well, here's the other thing about it is that the Braves going into this final 6 days of the season have a huge advantage. Even though they're only a half game in front of the Padres, they're in a situation with the Giants and the Padres where 2 of those 3 teams are going to make the postseason. And the Giants and Padres play each other this weekend. So really all the Braves have to do is hold serve, and they should be able to win that thing and get in as the wild card. 1-1 to Beltran. Let's go back to Carlos at first at bat.
Well, sometimes you make a pitch that does not set up the pitch that gets the batter out. This is a really bad curveball, but what happens? Carlos Beltran knows the next pitch is absolutely a fastball, so he starts to swing early. It's out of the strike zone. Over-aggressiveness by Beltran got him out when he knew a fastball was coming.
Smashed to third, booted by McGee, and that'll be scored an error as Beltran reaches.
Well, we talked about McGee improving his defense. Well, there's a clank right there and a routiner right there. Big hop.
17th error of the year for McGee. He needs to change either the spelling or the pronunciation of his name.
It's McGahee, right?
It's pronounced McGee.
McGee, but
it's spelled McGahee. That's right. It's kind of like Gil Miller. Who spelled his name Mueller?
Well, I think when he makes an error, he doesn't mind us mispronouncing the name. And when he does something good, we have to get it right.
Looking for Willis McGahee.
That's right.
So Beltran aboard at first with 1 out. Right fly to center his first time up.
When the first bat for David Wright, pitch up in the strike zone, beat him. So when you're a pitcher and you know you beat someone with a fastball, you come back with it because you know you can beat him again. David, a pretty good swing, but didn't get enough barrel on the bat.
Another fly ball to center, another easy play for Kane. And that's the second out.
David's swing has just been too long pretty much all year. And I think as a hitter, if I'm going to attack pitcher, if I'm going to attack David Wright, I'm going to attack him up and in and get him where he can't get the barrel of the bat out. He's behind. And let me tell you something. When you take a swing and you're behind a pitch on a consistent basis, you know it. As a hitter, you know it. Now you established inside to David, then you can start working away with the off-speed stuff because you've got him conscious inside. We just talked about that. I will say one thing for David. He does stay with the same approach and doesn't seem to get worried about it. So to me, you just predominantly got to pound him in.
David sits 1 out to left, and England is there. And that retires the side. So after the error by McGee, Wolf gets a couple of fly ball outs. We're through 4 at Citi Field, 1-0 Brewers. But he's behind in the game 1-0 as George Gutierrez leads off the fifth and takes a strike. Gutierrez drew a walk with one out in the third, wound up being thrown out at the plate on a fine throw by Jesus Feliciano to end the third.
You know, when you watch Mike when he's throwing like this and the way he's thrown the last 4 games, his last start against Florida, there is a purpose with every pitch. And when he is going through his struggles, there's a reticence to know what he wants to throw to the plate. And it's these starts here as he goes into the off season that he should reflect on, because he's working quickly, he's getting them to put the ball in play early, he's keeping his pitch count down, all the things that are important, I think, for Mike as he moves forward to, you know, establish himself as one of the better pitchers in the National League.
Toward the hole, and Gutierrez has himself a hit. So for the first time tonight, the Brewers get the leadoff man on. Let me also ask you about the mindset of Mike Pelfrey as he heads toward the offseason. I mean, he's got 15 wins now. He's got a chance for 16 or even 17 since he'll start again on the last day of the season. But he also knows going into the offseason that in all probability, Johan Santana's not going to be back in time for the start of the season. And that much larger a burden might be placed on him going into 2011. How does that affect him as a young pitcher?
Well, I don't think you can worry about that as much. I will say that in 1985 I won 16 games, Gary, and I went to the offseason and said, boy, that could have been a fantastic year except for me. So I need to improve not walking so many guys, getting first pitch strikes, all those little things. So despite winning 16 games, to me, I felt like there was so much more I had to work on. And I think he can feel the same thing.
You know, it also, too, I think to accept the challenge. You know, Pelf is a young pitcher, yes. He's got 3 years in the big leagues.
Yeah, he's almost moving past jump.
There comes a point where you got to step up. Either you take that leap or you stay on the same plane. One or the other. It's a golden opportunity for him to see that brass ring and go reach for it.
Wolf pops up the bunt.
Totally with the dive, and he's got it.
Well, Pelfrey popped one up for Prince Fielder, and now Wolf pops one up for Josh Tolley.
Well, this is not exactly quid pro quo, but nice play by Tolley.
1 out and 1 on. Let's check in with Kevin.
Seton Hall night at the ballpark tonight, Gary, and I know you're fond of that, by the way. We're with the new men's basketball coach of the Pirates, Kevin Willard, is here. And, you know, Kevin, I want to talk about, you have the black ribbon on tonight. There's a tragedy at Seton Hall over the weekend. 19-year-old Jennifer Moore was shot, and the Mets are donating to the university in her memory. What is that like in a campus community when something like that happens?
Well, it's been extremely tough. Jessica was an honor roll student. She was a tremendous fan of the basketball program. She touched many lives, and right now campus is we're grieving. You know, it's going to take us some time to get over this. I don't know if we'll get over for a while, but I'll tell you what, we're going to bounce back strong. And the community of South Orange has really rallied around the university. You really get a feel for what a campus is all about. And everyone's gone out supporting her family, and will continue to support her family. And eventually we'll come out of this a much stronger university.
Here's a play for Jose Reyes, and he makes that first. To be talking to Kevin Willard, when you take over a program like this, what's the first thing you do as a coach?
Well, you try to move and then get over there. But no, I think that what we've tried to do is get to know the kids, introduce what we're all about, find out what they are all about. And I think we've done a good job. I'm really looking forward to this year. I think we have a chance to surprise some people and make a move in the Big East.
You had the chance to throw out the first pitch. You were just commenting on the size of Mike Pelfrey, but you were out there throwing out the first pitch. See if we can take a look at the first pitch and that effort today. And here we go. Here you go. Ann Donovan next to you, the new women's coach at Seton Hall. Ann's a Hall of Famer, but your throw was a little bit more Hall of Fame.
Yeah, Ann's a heck of a basketball player. She never played baseball, and she's going to do a terrific job with the women's job. I tell you what, I didn't realize how far that is of a throw until I got out there, and I just realized how bold I really am until I saw myself out there on a high-angle TV screen. So I tell you, I'm not sure.
You're learning everything.
It's a great experience. I grew up a Met fan. We grew up in Long Island, so it was a great experience. And the Mets donating to Jessica's family is just a great show of what New York and New Jersey is all about. So, I think we're in the most special part of the world, and it just shows you that not only is our campus rallying, but the whole community is too.
Kev, it's a pleasure to talk to you. Certainly best of luck. We'll be seeing you in SNY, by the way, with the Big East package, so we look forward to that.
I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Kevin Willard, guys. Gary, you know Kevin. I don't have to do the introduction thing. Let's go back to you.
We're looking very much forward to seeing Kevin coach the Pirates this year. Coming in from Ione, he's got great bloodlines as a coach. As his dad, Ralph, a long-time, well-regarded coach. And Kevin coached under Rick Pitino at Louisville, and they've got a lot of talent coming back this year, and it's really a breath of fresh air having Kevin in the Seton Hall family. I think we're only about 6 weeks away from
really.
Fouled away by England. It's 2-2.
Now, what's the difference between doing a baseball game, Gary, I'm going to call it your first love, and doing basketball? It's a whole different deal, isn't it?
Everything's different. Let's see. Here you do a game every day and prepare all day, every day to do a game.
For 6 months.
Basketball, it's 2 days a week, 2-hour game, a little preparation, walk in, sit 2 inches from the court. 10 guys in their underwear, easily identifiable. Big ball, small court. It's really hard to mess it up.
Do you have
it's kind of like stealing money. Don't tell me.
Oh, you have like the Jack Nicholson seat for every game.
Yeah, of course.
Do you have a signature call in hoops like you do in your home run call?
Do I have a signature call?
Yes.
No, not that I'm aware of. I'll have to go back and listen. Or I never know what I say. You know that. England is 1 for 2. Oh, but the Pirates should be pretty good. They got a lot of talent coming back this year. Jeremy Lazell and Earl Pope and Jordan Theodore and Jeff Robinson. In front of is Davis to take it to the bag, and that gets Pelfrey through the 5th after a leadoff hit. We're halfway through. 1-0 Milwaukee. Randy Wolf, who's limited the Mets to 1 hit over the first 4. And Evans takes a strike. There's your Delta 5th inning recap. Mike Pelfrey has walked 3. One of those cost him the only run of the game. Lorenzo Cain driving in with a double. Evans gets under 1, hits it to shallow center. And Cain is there to grab it. 1 out.
New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Absolute Vodka. Enjoy the game with a cocktail perfected with Absolute Vodka, the ideal choice for the 7th inning stretch. Absolute Vodka, cocktails perfected. Enjoy with absolute responsibility.
Jeez. I thought vodka was clear.
Depends what you add to it.
Gin's clear too, right? Ask Harvey. He'll know.
That's your bartender.
You'll know.
You would know.
Howie, baby. By the way, I've been texted by everybody in Sag Harbor. Of course, I don't answer my texts, but they're ringing off the wall. I'm checking between innings. Everybody in Sag Harbor, they're thrilled to see Howie.
I always thought you turned off your phone during the game.
Well, I do. I have the sound off.
Thanks.
So we don't have any ringing sound in the broadcast. We can't have any, sound on the microphone.
Wouldn't want that. A little tapper by Tolley, and off the mound comes Wolf for the second out. Let's check out the inside pitch on Randy Wolf, brought to you by the Xerox Business of Baseball. Xerox, ready for real business.
Well, I think Keith mentioned it before. He's 12-5 against the Mets. He's beat them with 4 different teams and 6-0 in his last 9 starts. Quite a turnaround. Pittsburgh in July gave up 12 earned runs in 5 2/3 innings. Since then, he's 6-2. And Gary mentioned how good a hitter he is. 5 home runs.
Ruben Tejada has the only Met hit. He's singled to right center to open the third. Was later erased on a double play. And thinking about bunting his way on, drawing McGee in from third. Mets have not had a runner past first base so far tonight. Have you heard that before? And check swing. It's wide, 2-0. The game in Atlanta has gone to the 5th. Marlins 1, Braves nothing. Braves trying to protect the wild card lead. Half game over San Diego. The Padres play later tonight against the Cubs, who shut out the Padres last night behind the incredibly hot Carlos Zambrano. Tonight it's Ryan Dempster against Matt Latos in San Diego. Now, with Zambrano getting on this hot streak, do you think that makes it more likely that the Cubs keep him, or more likely that they trade him?
More likely that they keep him. I think he's going to stay around.
How old is Zambrano?
28, 29, 30.
I'd keep him.
Deep center, Kane going back. He can't get it. And Tejada races for second. He's in with a 2-out double. Ruben Tejada showing off some thump. His 10th double of the year.
Fastball right down Broadway. He's swinging much better, more level. And Kane gets caught playing Tejada too shallow here. And you know what? You play percentages. That's not a bad play.
Ruben Tejada safe at second. Safe and secure. New York Life.
So Pelfrey will bat. Mets have a runner to second base for the first time tonight. Mike has 3 runs batted in this year.
Well, too much plate. Bell tie out over the plate.
That's your IOTV pitch differential. Pelfrey lifts one to right. Hart back a few strides and still going to get it. That ball carried well. But Hart tracks it down to end the inning. A double and 1 left. 5 in the books. 1-0 Milwaukee. Sports Local for all your New York sports needs, with diverse personalities debating the top sports stories of the day, plus exclusive interviews and special guests on Daily News Live, Wheelhouse, and Loudmouth, all part of the New York Sports Local, weekdays starting at 5 on SNY. And here's your Mets' upcoming schedule. Remember, all Mets games on SNY are available in HD, presented by IOTV. If you're not near a TV, listen to every Mets game on Sports Radio 66 WFAN. We've turned the page, but there's no page to turn. Last week of the season, doubleheader tomorrow. Corey Hart leads off. It's one to dead center. Feliciano, who just moved to center, back to the fence, and it's out of here. Corey Hart with a home run, his 31st of the year, to put the Brewers up 2-0. It's been a terrific year for Corey Hart, and his numbers just keep getting better and better. 31 homers, 97 RBIs, now is a 12-game hitting streak. And that is the first right-hand hitter to hit a home run against Mike Pelfrey this season.
And belt-high fastball right down Broadway, and that's a Vinny Bomarino right there.
How about that? It took until the 32nd start of the year for Pelfrey to give up a homer to a right-hand batter. Fielder pops up the very next pitch. And Reyes back to grab it, one away. We haven't even had time to tell you why Feliciano's in center field, as Duda has taken over in left, moving Feliciano to center and Evans to right. Carlos Beltran has come out of the game, and we're not certain as to why, but we'll get a report just as soon as one becomes available. So now Casey McGee, who's grounded out and walked 0 for 1. I think Beltran had to run out the ball that McGee booted at third base. It's about the only time that he's had to run hard tonight that I can recall.
The Lorenzo Cain double to left center. I don't know if maybe that one.
1-1 to McGee. Here's the home run by Hart.
Well, Broadway. That is
Great Wide Way.
Yep. Couldn't send it better myself.
And he was on it like a great white shark.
Oh.
Don't see many line drives hit over the center field wall here.
I still can't get over that Pelfrey actually gave up a homer to a right-hand hitter. Three and 2 to McGee. And he walks him for a second time. That's 4 walks now given up by Pelfrey. So 1 out and 1 on. Let's check in with the studio. Chris Carlin has a New York State Smokers Quit Line game break. All right, Chris, thank you. We'll keep you right up to date on that. Here's Lorenzo Cain, who drove in the first run of this game with a long double to left center. And it's taken for a strike, 0-1. The word on Carlos Beltran, he left the game with right knee discomfort.
I figured.
And, you know, he's been able to keep that right knee, which was the surgically operated knee, pretty well in good shape. I mean, he had some tendonitis in the other knee from compensating a few weeks back. Grounded foul. But this, of course, is the ongoing concern with Carlos Beltran. As good as he has looked over the last month, he's still playing with a big brace on a surgically repaired right knee.
A little bit of concern, you know, he's not getting any younger, and it's a long grind, 162 games. You just don't, you hate to hear that.
Well, it has to concern the Mets from 2 perspectives. Here's the 0-2 to Cain, and it's taken low. One, as they look toward next year, how they plan for their season and plan around a guy like Beltran, can you count on him to be out there for 150 games? Or 2, if they decide to deal him and, you know, see who will take on how much of that contract, it's a red flag for whoever might be interested in making a deal for him.
Absolutely, Gary. There's no question about it. There's certain realities in life, and that will scare people off.
And, you know, who knows? I mean, it could be nothing, and he could be back in the lineup tomorrow, and that would be fantastic.
Well, look what happened to Orlando Cepeda. Had late in his career knee problems, and Cepeda was a very fine fielding first baseman, and you know, he was so limited later in his career. Wound up in Boston as a DH.
Well, in Boston, he had one of his greatest years there at the end on one knee. Literally would hit the balls off the left field wall and barely get to first.
Well, and that raises an interesting question. You know, if you're talking about a player like Beltran, for whom much of his value is in his Gold Glove fielding in center field, you know, how valuable a player is he if he's strictly an offensive player, or if he's a corner outfielder versus a center fielder? All those questions come into play when both the Mets or another team try to assess his value going forward.
And from a fan perspective, you've got such a brilliant center fielder, Carlos, a Gold Glover, and to have his defense impaired because of health in his legs, in this case, of course, his knee. You know, you come to the ballpark as a fan, you came to see not only Carlos Beltran hit,
it's a complete package.
You came to see Carlos Beltran center field, field his position and throw, and watch him with his gazelle-like strides. He was fun to watch, and it's just, you know, it's just one of the things that happen in the game. Those that can play injury-free are lucky. There's a certain amount of luck in it, no matter how much you stay in shape.
Alfrey strikes out Kane for the second out. Now Escobar takes ball one. Well, the other piece of it is, and you talk about, you know, injury and age, when Torrey Hunter moved from center field to right field for the Angels this year, that made Carlos Beltran the oldest everyday center fielder in the major leagues, regardless of, you know, knee issues or anything else. I mean, 33 this year, 34 next year is rather old for an everyday center fielder.
Yeah, Jimmy Edmonds in his prime played to a deeper age, but he wasn't the same player as Beltran.
Right.
Didn't take a lot of the punishment Carlos has taken on the bases with his stealing.
I mean, you get exceptions, don't get me wrong, but, you know, center field is a young man's position. And, you know, many center fielders eventually have to move over, whether it's Mike Cameron or Ken Griffey Jr. I mean, many of them move to a corner later in their career, even the best. 2-1 to Escobar, is 0 for 2 on the night. And a slow ground ball for Reyes to handle, goes the short way, and that'll do it for the Brewers in the top of the sixth. We played 5.5. The home run by Corey Hart extends the Milwaukee lead, his 31st of the year, makes it 2-0 Brewers.
This because of their inability to play, it's screwing up their whole
Welcome back to Citi Field. Bottom of the 6th inning we go. It's the Brewers in front of the Mets 2-0 as Jose Reyes does the batting now. And, earlier today I talked to Jerry Manuel and asked him if he could evaluate his job as manager this season. And I thought his answers were very honest. And he said, I think I missed on some things. And I think the first thing would be that, guys that missed time in the spring or missed time at the end of last season as Reyes goes deep and foul, they need more time to come back. I aggressively pushed for Jose Reyes and Carlos Beltran to come back. I wanted Beltran to DH in Baltimore when we were there, but I just underestimated how much time they need to not only come back, but to get in the swing of things. And that's one thing I certainly missed on. He said another thing that I missed on is Reyes batting third. He said, in spring training, I really thought it would be something that would be good for the team as Escobar has a chance and just gets Jose at first for one down. I thought that Reyes there was the best thing for the team at the time, but I missed on it. If I go back, Jerry said I could probably find a lot of things. And he said clearly, though, with the Reyes thing in the third, it unsettled him, if anything else, and I missed on that. So, guys, Jerry, very honest, going back and look at some of the things that he thought he missed on, as he said it, and some of the things that he might do differently when I talked to him. Back to you.
It takes a strong man, right, to admit that some things didn't go the way he had planned. That's one thing you'll always take from being around Jerry. He is his own man. He's a strong man. He's a spiritual guy. And listen, when you manage a big league ball club and you are not going to finish in the first division, it leaves everyone wondering.
And I think also the manager often takes the heat, and Jerry's taking the heat here for a larger group. I mean, after all, for this franchise, their mantra going into spring training this year was prevention and recovery. And particularly with the Reyes oblique injury, not so much about the other stuff, I think that they really went against what they had been preaching in the spring. They brought him back too soon. They had him bat right-handed against righties, which set him back even further and really affected his entire second half of the season. Now, would that have made a difference in the Mets season? I don't know. But I think, sometimes when you want to win and you want so badly to win, sometimes you operate against your better judgment.
I think that's the toughest thing in the game right now, because I think there's so many voices that really hover around an injury, and there's so many voices to hear that it's hard to get it all straight and get your player back when he should be back. And then a lot of the times you're trying to be overly cautious, and that takes some extra time. It wasn't in the Reyes case, but go ahead.
Tough. As Tim Tufflew's joined the team after managing in Double-A this year, the other piece of that is that, I think that the player was given a lot of say as Duda floats one into right center, and so Lucas in his first at bat of the night has a base hit. A 2-out single off Randy Wolf, just the Mets' third hit. I think, sometimes the professionals, the doctors and the trainers have to be able to overrule the player. And I think especially in Reyes' case, it was always, well, he wants to play, he's ready to play, so we're going to put him out there. And sometimes you have to, hold guys back because, of course he wants to play. But, if you haven't experienced an injury like an oblique before, you might not know how long it takes to really fully heal.
It's so true. There was a season where I didn't have an oblique, but I had a reoccurrence of an old injury in my ribs. And because the trainer for the Oakland Athletics had a lot of those injuries in his past, he was the one that kept me out another 10 days past when I thought I could pitch again, and ended up keeping me healthy for the season. So sometimes, the right person comes at the right time.
1-1 to right, who twice has flied to center field tonight. David, the tying run at the plate in a 2-0 game.
And he rockets one to deep left field. Back goes England. He looks up, and it's out of here. David Wright ties the game with a 2-run homer. Number 27 for Wright. He now has 98 runs batted in, and the game is tied at 2.
Well, this is a breaking ball that stays flat.
That's that little cutter he tried to throw before to get in on right. It did the first time, not this at bat.
Number 27 for Wright. And so we're all even as Ike Davis stands in, and he takes a strike. And for Randy Wolf, that's the 28th home run he's allowed. He came into the night 5th in the National League in home runs allowed. He drops down, and Davis yanks one foul. So Wolf a little sidearm action there against the left-hand hitter.
Well, a little Laredo here. But if you go Laredo, you have to have that ball on the outside part of the plate. You're trying to get him to dive towards first base, throw it to the outside part.
Ike is 0 for 2 tonight, fouled to third and fly to left. So Mike Pelfrey is back even. High curveball, and it's 1-2. Pelfrey's at 97 pitches, so he's going back out there for the 7th inning. And he strikes out Davis with a curveball, so Wolf kept coming with that curve and finally got him. 4th strikeout of the night for Wolf, but the Mets have drawn even. David Wright with the 2-run. Seventh inning, 2-2 ball game. George Gutierrez leads off against Mike Pelfrey and fouls the first pitch back. Gutierrez has been aboard twice with a walk and a single to left. Randy Wolf is out on deck. And then Ricky Weeks for the Brewers in the 7th. Each team with 2 runs and 4 hits. Out to center, and Feliciano moves over. One away. It's your one-stop shop for all the latest Mets news and rumors as they head down the final week of the season with constantly updated insider info, insight, and links. Mets blog presented by Verizon, featured on SNY.TV, your online home of all things New York sports. Mets bullpen gets working. Elmer descends, Pedro Feliciano, who else? Every day and perpetual. Belfry's 100th pitch of the night comes to Randy Wolf, and he gets the comebacker, and it's a good thing he's 6'7". 2 outs. Gary Apple standing by with a preview of what's coming up tonight on Geico Sports Night. Gary?
Gary, thank you so much. Coming up tonight, going to let you know which of the all-time great Giants not going to be there on Sunday when the team unveils its Ring of Honor, and we're going to hear more from the manager, Jerry Manuel, on his managerial future. See you tonight.
All right, Gary. Mike Belfry's used just 3 pitches to get the first 2 outs in the top of the 7th. And he'll take on Ricky Weeks with 2 out and nobody on. Weeks is 0 for 2 and a walk. Hey, do you guys know where you were 2 years ago today?
2 years ago today, yes, I do.
Keith's checking his watch to see what the date is.
The 28th. I think I was in a parking lot.
It's now a parking lot. It was
2 years ago?
The last game at Shea Stadium.
Oh.
2 years ago today.
Well, we were just in the parking lot. It was a sad day, wasn't it?
Do you remember who made the final out?
No. I know that Cameron Maben caught the ball, put 5 ball to center.
Hit by Ryan Church.
That's
1,
right.
2, 3 inning, a 5-pitch inning for Belfry. Still tied at 2. Starting first baseman on opening day in their first 6 years. Who might they have been? This is a tough one. Bill Hodges the first year, but then Tim Harkness, Dick Smith.
I don't remember Dick Smith.
I would have got 3 of the 6.
And I would never have remembered that Ron Swoboda played first base on opening day. I don't remember him playing first base at all.
You had Dick Stewart here. I didn't realize that.
Dr. Strangelove.
What kind of a year did he have? Was he over the hill?
Terrible. Come on, it was the 66 Mets.
What was Swoboda's nickname?
Rocky.
You don't want to put a Rocky at first base, do you?
Well, it's like they said with what Jerry Manuel said about Chris Carter. When he was asked if he'd play Chris at first base, he said, I'd like to keep him a little further away from the ball. Nick Evans has flied out twice tonight against Randy Wolf. And the curveball misses in. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Well, that's just kind of a teaser, because tomorrow during the first game of the doubleheader, we're going to take a look at the vast and stellar lineage of Mets first basemen over the years. From soup to nuts, from Hodges to Davis, and everything in between.
Very cool. That means Willie Montañez.
Exactly. It means
the greatest home run trot ever.
Imitated classically by the San Diego Chicken. You ever see the San Diego Chicken do Willie Montañez? You might get a call in here somewhere.
Think?
Oh, you're part of the list, you know.
Well, by default.
3-2 to Evans. Well, think about it. Perhaps the two most important trades in Mets history that led to their 2 championships were for first baseman.
That's right.
First Don Clendenin, and then you. Over the bag, and McGee was playing the line and guns down Evans for the first out. McGee well positioned.
You know, it would be fun to doing a broadcast. We had our production meeting, our post-season, end of season production meeting, and we talk about folks, things that we can do to improve. I would love to do a broadcast where all 3 of us are homers.
Really? Like
do a homer broadcast.
Like pretend we're on the south side of Chicago?
Yes. Like put it on the board.
I want to see Gary as a homer.
How about this? And his name is
Dan Ugla.
Josh totally takes a strike, and it's 1-1.
You know, the thing about Josh in that vein is that I know he's been struggling to bat lately, but every single ball to me are line drives. I mean, he really has hit into tough luck.
Oh, stay fair.
You know, you guys are going to have to be on your own here. I don't know if I can do this. It goes against every fiber of my being. So go ahead. You guys just take it away.
Oh, gosh.
I'm afraid where I'm going to go. That's the problem.
Here's the problem: if you do this for very long, somebody might like it too much.
Hit him.
Now, should he have pretended that he was hit? Should he have started rubbing the spot?
Yeah, and Ray Ramirez to meet him at first base.
Right.
That would be the key.
Now, you know, we never, ever discussed that after it happened with Jeter, and it's been such a topic of conversation as totally hits one out to center field.
What'd I tell you? Another line drive.
2 out.
Darn.
I mean, that whole controversy about Jeter, how he shouldn't have.
Yeah.
But that's silly. Ridiculous to me. In baseball, part of your job is to pretend, whether you're a catcher framing pitches or a guy who traps a ball in the outfield and comes up holding it up. I mean, that's part of the job.
They're still talking about it.
It's unbelievable.
It's like, get over it.
Is it only because it was Jeter and because he's supposed to be above that somehow?
Well,
I don't get it.
I think because it was a big game and there was a home run hit right after him. Against Tampa Bay. You know, a lot of that came from the Rays, of course, who were very adamant about what happened. Listen, that stuff happens all the time, and I think one thing that Jeter said that made a lot of sense. He said, a lot of time I've been hit, and they haven't let me go down to first, and you know, I mean, that's part of the game.
It's all about the ethic of a particular sport. If it were golf, it's a whole different story, right? Golf, you're supposed to call penalties on yourself.
That's right. Absolutely. Guys have lost tournaments. DiVincenzo in the Masters did not sign his card. He shot the round, but he did not sign his card. He loses.
That's not the San Diego Chicken.
Throw it away.
Up by McGee. Okay, I think this experiment is over.
Okay.
That's just not going to watch. 2-2 after 7. Mets and Brewers make up last night's rainout with a doubleheader. Coverage begins tomorrow with Subway pregame live at 3:30 right here on SNY. There are your pitchers. Game 1 of the doubleheader tomorrow. I believe that's actually incorrect. John Neese is pitching the first game against Giovanni Gallardo, and R.A. Dickey the second game against Dave Bush. And then Dylan G goes Thursday night against the lefty Chris Narveson, as the Mets and Brewers wrap up this 4-game extravaganza. Joe Inglet leads off for the Brewers in the 8th inning, and Mike Pelfrey throws a curveball for a strike. Mike had a 5-pitch 7th, which allows him to go out there still fresh in the 8th at 102 pitches. Inglet 1 for 3, a late additional lineup when Ryan Braun was scratched with a stomach virus. And Pelfrey gets ahead 0-2. Feliciano up in the bullpen with an eye toward Prince Fielder, who's due up 3rd in the inning. When Feliciano next pitches, he will put himself in the record book in a host of ways, not the least of which is he'll break his own club record for appearances in a season. Manny Parra up in the Brewers bullpen as England rockets one down the right field line, and that's a fair ball bouncing into the corner. And England cruises into second base with a leadoff double. Fan touched the ball, so it turns out to be a fan interference double.
We're trying to go up in the strike zone, but Mike did not get it there. It became a middle pitch and right on the line, or inside the line for England. This is the case. England's a late addition because of Braun's injury or stomach flu, and he gets a couple of hits.
So here's Corey Hart, who distinguished himself in the 6th inning by becoming the first right-hand hitter this season to hit a home run off Mike Pelfrey. Mike had given up 11 home runs this year, all to left-hand batters. And the slider misses away, ball 1. Elmer descends, joins Feliciano in the bullpen. Who was the last right-hand hitter to homer against Pelfrey before Corey Hart? It was Ian Desmond for the Nationals last year. That was in the final week of the season last season. And Pelfrey falls behind 2-0.
There it is. One mistake he made. Fastball up in the strike zone over the middle.
Pelfrey looked impressed. Hart, a career high 31 home runs. Go ahead run at second with nobody out, and he breaks his bat, but he'll advance the runner. Tejada throws out Hart, and now the go ahead runs at third with 1 out with Fielder coming up. So let's see if they bring in Feliciano to face Fielder, and they're going to do exactly that. Jerry Manuel on his way out to the mound. So that's going to be all for Pelfrey after 7 1/3, so he will not have a chance to win his 16th game tonight. You know, Mike would love to stay in here, but it doesn't look like he's going to get that choice.
I would be a little miffed myself. Come on, Skip, let me in here. I feel fine. I'm strong.
They could have opted to have him stay in, walk Fielder, and try and get the double play out of McGee. But the call to the bullpen is brought to you by Lincoln Mercury. 2-2 game in the 8th. We'll be right back. Mike Pelfrey out after 7 1/3. Pedro Feliciano in to face Prince Fielder with a runner at 3rd and 1 out. The infield in. And Fielder hits one over the mound, breaking for the plate. Inglet, he'll score the go-ahead run as Reyes throws out Fielder. Inglet is in, and it's 3-2 Milwaukee.
Textbook baseball there. Double, over, and in.
Get unlucky if that ball's a comebacker, you stay in the inning. But sometimes it's a matter of inches, sometimes it's a matter of a couple feet.
Contact play right there.
Inglet has good speed.
I just felt, this poor point in the season where the Mets are at, let Pelfrey pitch this game. I think, Ronnie, you made the point in commercial. We know Feliciano can get lefties out. And, let Mike stay in.
Well, there's another
we'll win or lose it.
There was another strategic way to go. I mean, Pelfrey's a ground ball pitcher. You could have walked Fielder and pitched to McGee and try and get the double play.
Well, Fielder swung at that first pitch. If you're Mike, you could have kind of pitched around Fielder.
Well, I would have let him pitch. You got 133 strikeouts. He's a strikeout guy. I disagree with the move. I just feel you've got Pelfrey out there. Let him finish the inning. And I thought Mike handled it well. We've talked about that before. He handled professionally. I'm sure he was not happy with being taken out of the ball game.
No, it cost him a chance for a win. Now he's on the hook for a potential loss. That run is charged to him.
He pitched well enough to stay in the game.
You don't mind getting a loss if it's your work. Give your. I think he's owed a shot with 15 wins.
Agreed.
2-2 to McGee, who's walked twice and scored a run. Feliciano, with this appearance, now has been in 89 games this year, which is a brand new Mets club record, breaking his mark from last year. He also has tied 2 major league records tonight. Most games pitched over a 3-year span and most games pitched over a 4-year span. All with 1 appearance tonight. Well, he does his job. He gets 2 outs from 2 batters as Judah squeezes McGee's fly ball. Nonetheless, Pelfrey's now on the hook as we go to the bottom of the 8th, 3-2 Milwaukee. Brewers pitcher Randy Wolf's brother Jim is a major league umpire. The second time in major league history that brothers were active at the same time as a player and umpire. Randy Wolf still on the mound, now leaving as Mike McClendon will come out of the bullpen to relieve him after the right-hand pinch hitter Mike Hessman was announced into the game. Chris Carter will come up instead when we come back. Chris Carter up against rookie right-hander Mike McClendon.
Well, just been up for a short time. He's got an outstanding slider. 8 strikeouts in his last 3 2/3 innings. First pitch to Carter, slider.
Carter pinch hitting for the pinch hitter Hessman. And he takes a strike, 1-1. Randy Wolf went 7 innings, allowed 2 runs, 4 hits, a walk, and 4 strikeouts. Carter's been the Mets' best pinch hitter this year. 16 pinch hits to his credit. And again, he skips away from the slider, and it's 2-1. Jose Reyes on deck, and then Jesus Feliciano as the Mets try and fight back in the bottom of the 8th, down 3-2. Doubleheader tomorrow, starting at 4 o'clock. Old-fashioned single admission doubleheader.
Line base hit for Carter. His 17th pinch hit. He might get 2 out of this. Kane cuts it off in the gap. Carter trying for 2. Kane's throw won't get there in time. It's a pinch hit double for Chris Carter.
Well, Brewer manager Ken Maka opted for the right-hander, and you've had a very successful pinch hitter in Carter as opposed to Mike Hespen, who's been sitting on the bench for 9 years.
Chris Carter safe in second. Safe and secure. New York Light. So now the tying run is at second base with nobody out. Let's see how the Mets play with Reyes, who's walked and grounded out twice, once into a double play. Not bunting, and he takes it away for ball 1. Corners are in against Reyes, against the threat of the bunt. Zach Braddock, the lefty, up in the Milwaukee bullpen. 2 left-hand hitters to follow, Feliciano and Duda. Fouled away, 1-1. Remember, Carlos Beltran left this game in the 6th inning because of discomfort in his surgery for the repaired right knee. Isanori Takahashi hoping for a save chance, now up in the Mets bullpen. Each team with 5 hits. That's only 2 runs coming on David Wright's home run in the 6th. Tapped in front of the plate, and the runner holds at second as McClendon throws out Reyes. Carter unable to advance. That's a huge play. 1 out.
It's the toughest ball, isn't it, Keith? Back to the pitcher.
You just don't know how hard it's hit. You just can't. You're stuck. If you either got to break clean or you can't break at all.
So the runner remains at second with 1 out, and that's going to be all for McClendon. They'll bring in the left-hander Braddock to face Feliciano. With Feliciano and Duda, the 2 left-hand hitters coming up. Ken Maka will make the move to the bullpen, and the rookie left-hander Zach Braddock will come into the game. Rookie left-hander Zach Braddock into pitch. Joaquin Arias batting for Jesus Feliciano. Tying run at second, and Braddock misses way high for ball one.
Well, Braddock, a New Jersey native from Gloucester Catholic High School. We saw him when he pitched in Milwaukee. Trouble with his control, but outstanding fastball and great overhand curveball.
Carter at second and one out, and it's taken high 2-0. I got a question for you. Pagan's not here. Beltran left the game, and now you're batting for Feliciano. Who's going to play center field?
Evans.
Evans?
Why not?
Maybe Arias.
Maybe.
Arias played the first game of his career in the outfield when he made his debut for the Mets. Here's Bob Uecker back from heart surgery, and it's great to have him back.
Yeah, I talked to Uecker for a long time tonight. He said he is feeling so much better, on his way back to 100%.
Just a little bit too high.
And there's ball 4. Arias walks on 4 pitches, and Braddock didn't come close. So now the Mets have the tying and go-ahead runs aboard, and Lucas Duda will get the at-bat against the left-hander.
Back to the phone. We're going to keep going until we find someone that gets someone out.
Someone that throws strikes.
Actually, these days it usually works the other way. Keep making pitching changes until you find a guy who can't get anybody out.
Well, they're going to make another one if Duda keeps the inning rolling, because David Wright's in that on-deck circle.
Duda came in for the injured Beltran in the 6th inning, had a base hit and scored in his only at-bat. And Lucas takes up and away, and that's 5 pitches, all out of the strike zone for Braddock. Cameron Lowe on the right, and John Axford, who's been the Brewers closer, on the left. Now, it would be unusual for Maka to bring in Axford in the 8th. He's already had 9 saves of more than an inning this year.
Oh.
Rick Peterson will get the hand up on the shoulder.
There it is. It's the positive vibe.
I don't know, after 5 balls, this might be a 2 hands on the shoulder.
Maybe he could have him throw from the back of the hilt. There's your PPG Pittsburgh Paints overhead camera looking at Duda in the batter's box.
Get close to the plate. Deep in the box, close to the plate. I like it. I like him close to the plate.
And Lucas takes a fastball on the inside, 1-1. So Braddock finally throws a strike.
Well, here comes the pivotal pitch right here.
Always that 1-1, right, Keith?
Yeah, you got a pitcher that's throwing 5 straight balls, just finally threw a strike. Looking for some cheddar. Out over the plate.
Gutierrez moves outside.
Oh, beautiful. If you're a Met fan. Or Lucas Duda. You're 2-1. He's missed again. He's got to come with some cheese.
You got to let it fly here, don't you, Keith?
He's here to. One thing about lefty, he's in to get the lefty out, so he's not going to mess around.
Now the 2-1, and Duda rockets one to center, but right at Kane. And that's the second out. So Lucas hit it hard, but now there are 2 away. See Ralph Kiner in his television heyday once again as SNY.TV gives Kiner's Corner a new life online. See all the classic interviews throughout the years, plus hear Ralph's current take on baseball's past and present on Kiner's Corner Revisited exclusively on SNY.TV, your online home of all things New York sports. David Wright's coming up with 2 out and 2 on. There's no way they're going to leave the lefty in to face him, and Ken Maka's coming out to make a double switch. He's got his closer, John Axford, up in the bullpen, so you can assume that he's coming in to try and get a 4-out save. And then he'll make another switch as well to be able to preserve him without an at-bat through the ninth. We'll be right back. base. He'll bat ninth. The former Met Carlos Gomez comes into play left field. That's mostly for defense, especially with Wright coming up. And the closer, John Axford, will try for the 4-out save.
With this many player changes, this is 3rd and 7. Axford's been unbelievable this season. 55 and 3rd innings, 70 punch-outs, and an 8-1 record.
So David Wright, who had a 2-run homer for the only 2 Met runs that tied up the game in the 6th, will get a crack here with 2 aboard and 2 down in the 8th with the Mets down by a run. Axford has 9 saves of 4 outs or more this year. Only Brian Wilson of the Giants has as many in the National League. The Mets saw him in Milwaukee earlier this year. Here's Wright's home run. You want to hit him in this ballpark, that's where you want to hit him, down the lines.
Oh, Randy Wolf still on the bench. See if his relievers can hold this lead.
Third reliever of the inning for the Brewers. Gutierrez did well to keep that from going to the backstop. 2-0. Axford took over as the closer from Trevor Hoffman earlier this season. Hoffman was allowed to get an opportunity for his 600th career save earlier this September, but has been very lightly used since then. Now Wright has a 2-0 advantage against Axford. And he swings through the fastball 2-1.
That was hard, this young man. That's right by you, David.
Axford is a guy who has come out of absolutely nowhere. Was about to be released a couple of years ago and has gone from there to being a big league closer in a very short period of time. But now he's behind on Wright 3-1 with the left-hand hitter Ike Davis on deck.
He's got a little shading on that bill of his cap. And there's Mr. Wolf hoping he can get a W here. Probably a little pine tar, a little rosin.
Maybe just dirt. 3-1 to David. 94 miles an hour upstairs.
This guy has an electric fastball. But out of the strike zone.
Hardy.
So now the runners will be on their way. Carter at second. Arias at first. 3-2 and 2 down.
Oh.
Wright is caught looking, and the inning is over. So Axford falls behind 3-1 and gets David Wright. 3-2 Milwaukee after 8. brought to you by Acela Express, where you can plug in and work or sit back and relax. Book now at Amtrak.com. By Subway, eat fresh. And by BJ's Wholesale. Join Isadori Takahashi this Friday at the Flushing BJ's, located at 131-07 40th Road, from 1 to 2 p.m. for a meet and greet. And a chance to win Mets tickets courtesy of BJ's, Tide, and Downey. Homer descends on to pitch in the 9th inning. Nick Evans moves over to center. Keith, you were right. And Chris Carter will move to right. So Evans has now played all 3 outfield positions tonight. Lorenzo Cain up against Descends, and a 2-hopper to short for Reyes to handle. Gets the speedy Cain by an eyelash. Routine play, almost got unroutine in a hurry. 1 out.
Well, Humber Descends, here's his numbers, and at 39 years old, maybe having his finest season as a reliever in the big leagues.
Alcides Escobar comes up. By the way, when David Wright went down looking to end the bottom of the 8th inning, he set a new Mets club record with his 157th strikeout of the year.
Ouch.
Escobar pops up the bunt. That'll go back over the screen. Escobar 0 for 3 tonight. Now 0 for his last 19. George Gutierrez on deck. And then if anybody gets on, Craig Counsell is sitting in the number 9 spot. Looking ahead to the last of the 9th, the Mets will have Davis, Evans, and Tolley up against John Axford, who's bidding for the 4-out save. Each team with only 5 hits tonight. In Atlanta, they're in the 8th inning. Braves had made it 3-1 on a 2-run homer by Eric Hinsky, but now Dan Uggla has homered in the top of the 8th. Atlanta 3, Florida 2. Braves start the night with a half-game lead in the wild card race over San Diego. Padres don't start for another half hour. They play the Cubs, and the Giants, who are 1 game ahead of San Diego in the West, play at 10:15 against Arizona. A little bit low, 2-2. Yankees on the verge of clinching a playoff berth. All they need is a win tonight. CC Sabathia on the mound. Tampa Bay won tonight behind David Price's 19th win as they beat Baltimore 5-0. So Tampa Bay will stay in first place for another day.
Halladay with his shutout last night, Cy Young.
I think he clinched it.
Clinched it, I do too.
2-hitter last night. Out to center field. Evans with his first chance out there. And he puts it away, 2 out. Let's see what's coming up on Lincoln Mercury Postgame Live as we check in with Chris Carlin and Bobby Ojeda. All right, we'll look forward to that. Meanwhile, George Gutierrez up with 2 out and nobody on in the top of the 9th. Gutierrez 1 for 2 and a walk tonight. Fouls that one off Tolley. 1-1.
That catch Josh in the left knee.
Oh,
yep.
Direct hit. Gutierrez understanding he's a catcher himself, so he hangs that outside the batter's box for a moment. One from Descends, and it's low and away. 2-1. And he rolls over one. Tejada gives ground. And throws out Gutierrez. 1-2-3 inning for DeScends. Now to the bottom of the ninth. Davis, Evans, and Tolley with the Mets down a run. Two-run homer. The only 2 runs for the Mets tonight. That came in the 6th inning. His 27th of the year. Mets are down by a run as we go to the bottom of the ninth. By the way, one of our esteemed cameramen, Matt McGann, has the night off tonight, and there's a good reason, because Matt's wife Nicole delivered their first child last night. Trevor Stone McCann was born last evening. Congratulations to Matt and Nicole.
Cool name.
Yeah, Trevor, we like that name.
That's right.
Ike Davis leads off in the last of the ninth. Ike is fouled to third, fly to left, and struck out 0 for 3. Nick Evans on deck, and then Josh Tolley against the rookie closer John Axford. In the air to right center field. Back goes Kane to the track near the wall. It's off the fence. Davis heads for second. It's backed up by Hart, and Ike will stay at second base for the leadoff double. And so the Mets are rolling in the ninth.
Well, just a little bit off the end of the bat and missing with the breaking ball first pitch. Ike sitting on that fastball. And Hart nicely covering up for backing up Kane in center.
Boy, 416 away and only a double.
33rd double of the year for Ike.
Well, wanted that ball down and away in the IOTV pitch differential.
So the tying run at second. Now Nick Evans the batter. And how do you play this? You got the left hand hitting Tolley on deck, but behind him the right hand hitting Tejada. Brewers are looking for the bunt.
Let him swing.
On the view. And he's swinging. And Axford is missing way up high. He threw one of those to David Wright as well.
How you can miss by that much. I mean, that's 4 feet. One of the advantages for the Mets is Escobar is holding on the runner Davis. I don't know why. Close at shortstop position. That opens up that hole with Counsell in at third base.
1-1 to Evans. Nick is 0 for 3 tonight.
This kid throws hard, but he throws a lot of balls down the middle.
Evans takes a strike. 94-mile-an-hour fastball. Same pitch that got David Wright looking in the last inning. Now Axford's up in the count 1-2.
I think you're going to see that overhand hook here, Keith.
Stick with that cheddar. Try to go up the ladder. Nick can chase some high cheddar.
Has to protect on 1-2.
Good call, Ron.
Fouls off the breaking ball. Davis at second and nobody out with the Mets down by a run in the last of the ninth. Axford's only blown 2 saves in 24 chances this year. Boy, there's a big gap in left center field. Too high, 2-2. You got Gomez playing straightaway and left, but Kane shallow and toward right center.
I think Gomez has to move over a little bit. When a guy throws 94, 95 miles an hour, it's going to be hard to pull him anyway.
And he already got one ball hit over his head. And he's in shallow again.
2-2. Swing and a miss. He got him with a high heat. So Axford strikes out Evans for the first out.
Well, up the ladder. And Nick has a tendency to chase.
PPG Pittsburgh paints overhead camera. So Axford has faced 3 batters, fanned 2 of them. 1 out with the tying run at second, and here's Josh Tolley, who's hit a skid here late in the year. 0 for 3 tonight, 1 for his last 18.
A base hit's needed here. You got a hard thrower, and look where the shortstop is. He's got to be more. Ike's not going to steal. You've got to shade Tolley a little bit to the opposite field.
Yeah, especially with the hard thrower, right, Keith?
Yep, and you got the outfield is pretty much straight away. You want to take away that hole between third and short. I don't know about the scouting report, but
unless they just plan to pitch Tolley inside.
Well, also
take it inside out, though.
They're trying to keep Davis close so he doesn't get a big jump off second off a base hit. But still, you've got to hustle back to your position if you're going to do that.
Yes, heck with that.
Now Axford behind 2-0 on Tolley. And he goes around on the high fastball. Not what Josh wanted, 2-1.
Well, let me tell you something. This kid can bring it up there. Let me tell you. That's a live fastball. He's serves himself well to pitch up in the strike zone.
Two and 1 to Tolley with Tejada on deck. And Josh floats one into shallow left field. That's going to fall for a base hit. Davis to third. He'll stop there. And now the tying run is on third base with 1 out.
Well, unfortunate. There's your inside out swing we're talking about. Totally ties up Tolley inside. That's a major emergency swing. Better be lucky than good sometimes.
Gomez get into it quickly to disavow Davis of any notion of trying to score on that. Now Tejada will try and get the tying run in. The potential winning run is on first. Tejada 2 for 3 tonight with a single and a long double over the center fielder's head. Again, Maka out to the mound for a strategy conference here. Nobody up in the Milwaukee bullpen. They've got their closer on the mound.
You've got to play in at the corners, respect the squeeze, and back for 2. Tejada's not real fleet of foot.
Luis Castillo is going to run for Josh Tolley, carrying the potential winning run at first base. No problem finding him tonight. So Tolley's out of the game. Has a big smile after that emergency cut.
Isn't it funny, though? We were talking about it up here. The only place he was going to hit the baseball was that left side.
Right.
No shot of pulling the baseball. But even with that, no one would have made that catch.
Takahashi ready to pitch the 10th if there is one. Would you consider a squeeze play with Tejada?
Not with this guy throwing 94 miles an hour up in the strike zone. It's an automatic pop-up.
Let him swing. Yeah. These games are not important. Come on, let him swing the bat.
Weeks and Escobar a little shorter than normal double play depth at second and short.
And Tejada hits one out to left center. Over goes Gomez toward the gap. He can't get it. Davis is in. Here comes Castillo around third. Chip Hill waving him home. Castillo sliding in safely, and the Mets win it. Ruben Tejada with a 2-run double to win it for New York. The Mets open the homestand with their 7th walk-off win of the year.
Well, fastball in. He didn't waste any time. And good for him. Fastball pitcher. Got to make him feel good. And Castillo just off the bench motoring.
And Tejada showing some pop tonight, hitting one over the center fielder's head and this one up the gap for the game-winning double.
Even more importantly, you know it's a September game. It doesn't mean a lot in the standings, but it means a lot to that young man. And to come up with a big clutch hit against a closer who's had great success this season, you got to be awfully proud of Tejada.
Outstanding.
So Tejada with a 3-for-4, 2-double, 2 RBI night. And the Mets come from behind to win it in the ninth.
What'd you say, Keith? Let him swing the bat.
Yeah. Well, Jerry had no intention of squeezing.
Here's your Delta game summary. David Wright's 2-run homer tied up the game, and then with the Mets down a run in the bottom of the ninth, Tejada with the big hit, a 2-run double to win it for New York as Castillo, the pinch runner, comes home with the winning run. Mets win 4-3, their first win when they trailed after 8 all year. We'll be right back.